CBS News, without any flowers in its hair, is in San Francisco because this city has gained the reputation of being the hippie capital of the world.
The kids who take LSD aren't going to fight your wars. They're not going to join your corporation.
Turn on, tune in, drop out.
People were blown into a very, very creative space, and there was a lot of theater, and there was a lot of costume, and there was a lot of protest about what was going on culturally, sort of at the root of it.
LSD is a hallucinogenic drug that was created by chemist Albert Hofmann in 1938 and gained popularity during the Summer of Love in San Francisco in the late 1960s. It was recreationally used by hippies and advocated for by several celebrities such as the Grateful Dead and Timothy Leary. Although, with its rising popularity, LSD quickly became controversial due to its unknown lasting effects. Because of this, LSD manufacturers needed a discreet and easy way to distribute the drug.
As paper began being used to transport it, it had many advantages over the sugar cube, which would crumble in your pocket and melt in your pants.
Bladder art really came about in the 70s during the psychedelic era in San Francisco. It was the little LSD papers, and it often, in the beginning, it was sort of the signature of the LSD maker, and that's how you knew where it was coming from.
To me, it's about a subtle hint or premonition of what might unfold should you embark on a trip by taking the acid that's on that bladder image.
They appropriated a lot of symbols that became things that you know, people of that ilk really related to, like Felix the cat or things like that. You know, they were trippy. You know, these were things that you were taking to alter your consciousness. And so there were a lot of humorous, symbolic pieces that were often appropriations of popular culture.
Collections made up of examples of LSD transporting paper, or paper that has been soaked with LSD to ingest and alter your mind. My name's Mark Mcleod. I'm the janitor and management here at the Institute of Illegal Images.
His home, first of all, I knew that place before he purchased it, and it was, you know, just a kind of a shambles, which the whole mission was at the time. But, you know, he's radically transformed that place, not just with his collection, but every bit of it, you know, is renovated, and he's really inhabited the place and filled it with this psychedelic movement. And it's not just the objects, but it's all the people who've visited there and joined forces there and had communion there. It's just packed with history in every way.
We are now, have recently become familiar with Mark Mcleod in the Bladder Barn, and do know that he is the largest collector of bladder art and has been for decades.
One word I would think would come to the forefront of my mind is collector. So his approach to his work involves being a collector. I know that. And really wanting to collect everything. And he has a great eye. And so it goes beyond just collecting bladder. It goes to all of his psychedelic collection and all of his historical knowledge about the psychedelic movement.
Sometimes they're called vanity museums or vanity galleries, where people will have their own collections and they become famous for the collections, and I'm all for it because it's what keeps these artists alive. Artists take great chances to do the thing they do with no guarantee at all of any income whatsoever. So when anybody champions whatever kind of art that they get behind, it's really good for the art market, for the artist, and for the idea that society needs to support these efforts.
I've been collecting examples starting in 1968 when the first commercial illegal blotter hit the scene, and up to today, which is still being made and distributed. I've got about 50,000.
I think that having his collection in his home and opening it to the public is wonderful. It's not unlike many other often wealthy people with other businesses or properties that have sculpture gardens or amazing collections that end up then being donated to places like MoMA or Stanford Museum or something like that. So it's a different scale, but it's done all the time.
As I kept collecting and framing, I was able to exhibit it. My first exhibit being at the San Francisco Art Institute in 1987.
An institute is a little more private, and a museum is for people to visit. And so that's the fine distinction, is he does invite a lot of people there, but his doors aren't open to the public.
I usually, at the beginning, kept it to large classes, or I've always been interested in families seeing the collection and reacting to it.
I think that's what, makes it work as both his home and the institute.
I'm interested in, showing it to people who really have an interest in it. So, to begin with, I'm not trying to convert anybody into taking it or convince anybody into trying it.
I think it's a lot like why we open a gallery, is that when I first started, I said it's like I have this little pen light, and I say, look at this is interesting to me. But as you grow in reputation, as you become more well-known, the beam widens, and you're able to affect your culture by pointing these things out. And I think private collections like that can have the same effect.